just kick this one into gear, and then Nick and Jane will facilitate. So
Are they doing Q&A?
I'm not sure. They met yesterday afternoon just to tune it up. I don't see Nick and I don't see Jane. So.
The reason I'm asking is that both for I think for the audience and for the broadcast audience, if we do Q&As, we should send that mic around like we were doing.
It has to. Otherwise, what do you do?
Right. There's people in this room that can't hear the question, and no one's going to hear it at all from the other place. And I know it's kind of a hassle.
But minimally, at least repeating the question helps.
Helps a ton.
Yeah.
It's just that dead air while the question's being asked. And sometimes the questions are super long.
I don't know if there will be much of that, Mark. In fact, this whole session, I'm not sure how much information there will be that's not done in, like by department. So it could be more of a work session around tables.
Oh.
Again, so it may not be that great.
Yeah, no, but who cares?
Right now, we don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Let it go, and we'll go. Anyhow, we're trying to work out. That's why I was going to ask, because we didn't have this ready for the morning. We couldn't mess around with it in the morning, but now we got it set up that someone could stand here and moderate, and then Darren's going to run around and fold it around.
Okay, all right. Well, let's.
And the next time we're going to have two of these going, so we'll have one on this side of the room and one on that side of the room.
Hey, Mark, we get better and better.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fun trying. I mean, this is good. This is so good.
Kind of, only because I don't really understand what happened to our here today. So I'm confused how we're supposed to coordinate.
How are you, sir?
Like the hospitality.
I'm very poor. You'll have to forgive me. I know. Well, you know what? That's where my dad was at, and so he had a very heavy Finnish accent all his life. But it was interesting to her because as a family we went all over to Finland. And when was it? 1999. And my dad thought he was so cool because he could speak Finnish in Finland. How did you know? Yeah, oh, absolutely. And there were several people that thought he spoke so cute, and he was kind of offended about that because he thought he was one of the locals. Not true, but the language had locked in many ways. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I know, that Finglish kind of thing. No, you're right. In fact, I remember this young guy was probably about 25. He was in a gas station. We had rented a car. We filled up with gas. And my dad kind of goes in and wants to get a candy bar in the counter. And he's trying to do this thing. And this guy turns and says, "Sir, would you just speak English?" Yeah. And I'll tell you, it was funny. It was so funny. But no. So, Herb, where's your family from then? Okay, now would there have been a Glenn? That would have been. He would have been a good friend of one of my uncles back, and I hate to say it, he'd probably be in kind of the great uncle age bracket. Okay, because this would have been. I would have had an uncle that passed away. It was in a motorcycle accident some years ago, but he would have graduated from Sabuka High School. That's a different stream. Okay, because I remember Glenn coming over to our house and with my uncle Bobby, and they were kind of into motorcycles. And as a little kid, I was always intrigued with anybody who rode a bike, and they gave me rides. They're really cool guys. And but he had, then of course when my uncle passed away, I lost track of Glenn. But yeah. Sauna in the house. Oh, well, that's even better. That's better. Oh, yeah. Yeah. In the backyard, or? Yeah, probably electric rather than wood. Yeah. So are you and Gail in town, or are you out in the country, or? Oh wow, so you're in town. Yeah, yeah. Well, we bought this foreclosure last winter. Actually, closed on it at the end of January last year now, and there was a fairly large gazebo that had been built in the backyard because the folks that owned it was a little lake lot that had owned the lake lot would stay in this gazebo, and it was big enough that they could do it. So then the house was built after that. So I look at this gazebo and I say, okay, it's a little oversized for a gazebo, but is there a way to do a sound in here? And I haven't quite figured out the engineering of it, but gotta do something. It's actually wired for 220, which should be for a good sound heater, because they had some wall heaters in there, basically to keep it warm in spring and fall. But so there's a part of that saying, okay, I don't want a dry sound. No, well, my grandparents did. They were, Kangases in the Sabika crowd, and so. Okay. Oh yeah, that's Pyrie. That's somewhat familiar. I'm trying to think of the connection back when here. Okay, which one? Okay, because my grandparents went to the one in Sabika. Yeah, 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 yeah. That was a very somber setting. I remember that as a kid. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember when we had a TV in our house, and Grandma called it the devil in the corner. And eventually they had their own devil in the corner, but it took a few years to get around. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, there's that one of those Lycedian congregations here in Brainerd, too, I understand. Yeah, I'm not sure where. Somebody had mentioned it's not our thing, but okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, yeah.
Like how many people have actually gone to visit things that actually make it wow, things like that. It doesn't I don't feel like fundraisers
Interesting. Oh, I've done some of those. I still have some on cassette, which tells you how old they are. Really? Yeah, yeah. You know what? That's intriguing. I'd love to kind of plug into that, because if we can do some things that are really, really smart and easy changes to make, why not? Yeah. It makes you wonder, did you set them up for success by simply having the color? Well, it might be just you're very organized and whatever else too, but no, that's interesting. You know, I'd love to check that out because if there's something we can do, and sadly, we're maybe kind of locked into our own colors here, which may not be very helpful for us, but yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, love to check that out. That sounds intriguing. Good. Thanks, Herb. Take care. Thank you.
Larry wants 5 minutes at the end, so I want to try to shorten things up.
Yeah, yeah, like that.
Yeah. 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 Well, thanks for your vision to get that. Silence up.
No. No projector.
No projector, just me. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, probably here.
That?
Are you going to be?
We're going to begin in a couple of minutes, so if you want to grab a spot.
Sounds good. You might have to wait a second. Test 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2.
Didn't have enough room.
Let's find a place to sit down, please. We'll begin here momentarily. Let's get seated. We'll get started. Are we ready to go? All right, let's get started. If you're not sitting down, I'm going to start calling out names. Michael Hops, please find a seat. Ann, Julie. Okay, I'm done. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had a good lunch. I hope there was enough pizza to reach you as you were standing in line. Tremendous crowd at lunch, and I know that that career day coming in March is going to be fabulous. We're starting off our afternoon sessions. We have a division time that will follow this particular session. But this session focuses on enrollment. Basically, as one of our faculty colleagues mentioned during the fall prioritization meetings, it's about butts in seats. And I think that captures it pretty directly as well. As we begin our time together, I want to share with you what it is and what it's not. What it is and what it's not as we think about enrollment. And I want to flash to some comments that John Osmussen, the consultant that I mentioned this morning, what John had shared with us very briefly, and he'll have a more comprehensive presentation for us, I'm guessing, in February. But we had asked John some questions about our enrollment, thinking very specifically about our fall semester enrollments in which we were down. We asked John, again in those questions, how did CIS and PSEO impact enrollment? And so what it's not, getting to that first, is it's not about the percentage of students across our regional high schools that are CIS and PSEO students. It's not that. In fact, John's comment was that as he looked at our CIS and PSEO enrollments, that they remained really relatively steady across the last several years, and it really had no effect in his mind and as he looked at the data for this past fall. He also looked at whether getting more credits, as those PSEO CIS students gained more credits, transcripted here at CLC, if that had an impact on our fall enrollment. And he came back saying only a tiny decline could be based on any of that data. So if it's not about CIS, it's not about PSEO, then what is it? What is it that we can focus on? And John was very direct in being able to say to us it was about our conversion rate from our local high schools. And conversion rate, as he looked at the data, was looking at the number of graduates that were coming out of the local high schools, our feeder high schools, our primary high schools, and the number of students that ended up here at Central Lakes College. And we had dropped to a 16% yield rate or a capture rate from rates that were high as 23%. And so that accounts for most of our decline as we would look at this past fall semester. So it was a lower yield rate than we had had in the past. Now, what complicates that and makes for something of a perfect storm looking ahead is that the number of high school juniors is also down across our high schools by about 4%. So as we think about the future, we need to increase our yield rate, right? But we're also going to be doing that in an environment in which there will be slightly fewer, by about 4% fewer high school seniors coming as we look to the future. So that's an issue of what it is. The other issue that was that came out very clearly in Dr. Osmussen's data for us related to retention. And as an opportunity, he said to us, and I'm looking at a slide, and he'll be sharing this slide, I'm sure, with us next month, that about 30% of our students that come into Central Lakes would be the non-traditional older student who has no prior college experience. So these would be students that have not attended college prior. They don't bring us a transcript. They're not a transfer student. And they account for about 30% of our new fall students, so for those entrants. And their retention rate fell from what was around 75% to 62%. So if you want to think of what it's not about CIS, it's not about PSEO. Those numbers have remained stable across the years, but it is about the yield rate, which dropped significantly as we looked at our feeder high schools. And then the issue of how do we retain, and the opportunity for us is how do we retain the students that we did in the past, but somehow have lost more recently, that were considered the older student, and how do we essentially enhance those retention rates? So it's about new students, bringing in that new high school student at a higher rate than we had done this past fall semester, and hanging on to that older student who's attending college for the very first time. So those are those two opportunities that I give you, and I think will help inform some of the conversation you're about to have. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Nick. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Well, good afternoon, or hello again, everybody. What we're going to be doing in the next hour or so is we're going to have a conversation and some activities, and we're really trying to start a conversation and continue it after today related to enrollment. I always like to have themes or titles for sessions, and I was thinking about titling this session "Enrollment. It isn't a four-letter word." But then I looked at the time on the schedule and saw that I was right before department time and thought, oh, if I put that on there, that might give someone an idea to start throwing some four-letter words at me to wrap this thing up. So I didn't do that. But I really want to, I'm really hopeful in terms of where we are right now as a college. Enrollment isn't always a fun thing to talk about when enrollment is down. And it's not always fun to look at the college as a business perspective. I, for one, got an education because I love the idea of making a difference in the lives of students. And I bet that's where all of you are as well. But when you look at enrollment from that kind of perspective, I think it's important to remember that we as a college have a great product that we are selling. We are a fantastic community college that's engaging our community, working in a lot of different areas, innovating, and providing some really personable and high-level instruction to our students. And we have a lot to be proud of. And oftentimes, from my perspective, really the way to move ahead enrollment is for the college, faculty, and staff to work together as closely as possible to really move that needle and to share what a great product we have for students. And so I'm hopeful today that we can engage in just a start of a conversation as it relates to what we're going to be moving forward ahead with in the next semester and into the next year in terms of our enrollment plan. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what we're going to be doing here, and then we'll basically be breaking up into groups and by area and having a conversation. Then we'll be continuing in a little bit here. So you also all know, of course, that this fall we engaged in a program prioritization process, and a piece of that process really is that some departments came back, and some of the amber or red or green departments had notations there in terms of that maybe they were evaluated as part of that program and prioritization process. And some of them were enrollment related. Obviously, there's a cost to running classes, and that as Dave said, butts and seats does oftentimes translate to a lot of different measures. And so some people were asking, okay, what are our next steps with this? And we saw that we're amber or red or green, but what do we do in terms of working on some of these outcomes, and how are we going to do that as a campus? How do we kind of close that loop and follow up? And so this is really the second round of the program prioritization process, is to start this sort of conversation. And we really need to engage in it together, because we really need everyone's ideas and everyone working together to try to improve our student outcomes and really tell students about this great product we have. So as you can see here out on the table out here, we have a couple things. And so what I'd like is for everyone should be grabbing the things that are on the table. But before you do, let me hold on to kind of walk through what you should be grabbing here. So on the table should be a copy of a worksheet that we're going to be starting together. and that's right over there. And then on the same table should be a copy of our current strategic enrollment plan that's going to be covering basically what Student Affairs is working on as it relates to enrollment. Because if we're going to have a conversation, we also have to know, well, what are we doing and where are we going as it relates to some of the enrollment initiatives. And then also, on the table, every program, we've made copies, I think 3 copies of each program, or I'm sorry, each department has a department fact sheet that relates to some historical trends as it relates to enrollment in your department. So what I'd like right now is for everybody to get up, stretch your legs, and to grab each of those 3 items that apply to you. And then head back and have a seat and we'll continue. Hey. Yes, sir. Hey. Doing okay. Okay, hopefully everyone has a department fact sheet, a kind of an enrollment worksheet that we're going to be talking about today, and as our copy of our strategic enrollment plan. So that's going to be what we're going to be reviewing today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of walk through what we're going to be doing and how it's going to work. And I'm going to start with that worksheet. It's called Enrollment Conversation Duty Day 1/7/2015, and it kind of has on the worksheet you can see a schedule. And so if you could all put your attention to that, and the worksheet should be front and back. I hope it's front and back. And on one side it should have liberal arts. On the other side you should see technical education. So depending on your area, whether you're liberal arts or technical education, that would be the version that you would be using, okay, for where you're classified here at the college. And so what we're going to start to do today is this is going to be a worksheet that we're going to be working with all of the different departments or clusters, depending on how your administrator, your dean, has thought it would be best to have this conversation. And so everyone's going to be hopefully using this as kind of a baseline to jot down some ideas and the conversations that you're going to be having in small group department clusters. And you're going to start off with everyone in a little bit is going to break up into these groups, and either by department or by area, again, depending on what your dean thought made the most sense. And you're going to have a copy of the program prioritization sheet just so you can reference that. And you can see next to that column is goals for fiscal year 18. And these might be things that you think the college should do, that we as a college should be looking at as important to try to improve the enrollment situation in your area. So the liberal arts side, you can see, what might be ideas of things we can do to engage our student engagement and retention. And liberal arts is always a little harder to quantify than the career and tech areas. You can see the career and tech areas might be, depending on your program or department, it might be you said, gosh, we really got to just work on getting more applications. Or we got a lot of applications, but we got to increase the number of students who register after applying. Or we really got to work on our retention rates. And again, your program fact sheets or you yourselves might just know that. And then we also have, so you might just check boxes, or you might even just say, no, we don't think any of these are good. We think this should be our goal that the college should be working on. And then, because again, we're soliciting your input here. And then after that, in terms of how to get there, we have some ideas again that are penciled in there in terms of, well, how might we get to some of those goals? Might it be that we need to do some strategies to increase prospective inquiries? Are there some things, curriculum we should be looking at? Is there more credit for prior learning? Or again, maybe these ideas aren't anything that apply to you and you want to write other ideas down. We really just wanted this to be a baseline, a starting conversation point of ideas. But we really want this conversation to be organic and open-ended so that you as a department or group can share, okay, here's where we think we really need to go. So when that's done, that's kind of how we're going to have you use your department cluster time. And then from 2:40 to 2:50, we're just going to have some preliminary report outs about what kind of conversations did you have, and we'll make notes of this. And then at the end of the session, what we ask is that every department that did one of these or group could turn that in, and we're going to hold on to it and start to record it. And then the follow through in terms of the next steps are, we have an enrollment work team that consists of our admissions, advising, recruiting, marketing department, and we're going to be scheduling some time with individuals that in this department cluster for whoever would like to join and have a more thorough conversation. And then this is going to be basically our enrollment plan going into next year for those areas, so we can start to try to hit some of those targets. So that's kind of the big picture, how we're going to pull all this together and have a system in place to do so. So this is just the start of the conversation, but we're hoping in the end to have, by the end of mid-spring semester, a final product saying, okay, in these areas, here are the targets, here's how we think we would best get there, and then we can start to move and hopefully address some of these areas. So that's kind of the plan in terms of what we're getting into today. And so I'm going to kind of give you some more instruction. But before I do, one of the things I'm really excited about is to have our new Dean of Student Success, Jane Perkoltz, with us. She has a wealth of experience from a number of colleges that she's been at. And I'm really think she'll be able to help us get to the next level here in terms of some of our work with students and our process. So Jane, would you come up and just share a couple words about enrollment?
Hi, folks. You've had a long day already. I do want to start, though, with a couple comments. I sat in the sessions this morning, and you know what? You folks don't need to panic, because you are doing a lot of good work on behalf of students that will work to your favor. And I'm very impressed. I am very impressed already with the collaborations that I see between faculty, student services staff on what needs to be done. So just a little, all I have to offer you at this point is enough to be dangerous, I guess. But just to remember as you start your work, enrollment is just that. It is indeed attracting and recruiting and enrolling students, and it's also keeping the ones we have. So as you think through that, think through, why should a student pick my program or our cluster of programs? And that can help you get to some of the core issues that you know as faculty. You work every day with your students. You know your students. You probably know your students better than student services. You think, Nick? Yeah, we hate to admit that, but that can be the case. What do you know about your students? Where are they falling off? The real final comment I want to make is it's important to know what to track. And what I think Nick was alluding to, first of all, he and I are already pretty much on the same page philosophically. But what we're beginning to see is that maybe different clusters of programs need to look at different aspects they need to track and understand what's happening. As Nick said, some programs need more applications. Some programs are going to need to keep the students they have. Example of that. One of the things we did, just to give you a quick example, we took a look at the students in a number of programs who had earned 30 credit hours. And then that was it. What happened to those students? That just prompted a whole other set of issues to look at. They had gone so far, statistics would say, yeah, they're on the road to complete. But after 30 credits, what happened to those students? So again, it's a matter of working with you to understand, what do you know about your students? What do you think we need to track and why? And that's one of the most effective ways to put a living, breathing enrollment management plan together that works for programs and supports the institutional enrollment. So with that, Nick, you want to give them the next steps?
I'll give them the next steps. All right. Thanks, James. Well, in terms of next steps here, I'm going to need some brave souls, some volunteers from every cluster, because I'm going to be reading off these areas, and I'd like somebody. I'm really hoping someone stands up. I'm having flashbacks when I'd ask a question when I was teaching a class and no one would raise their hand and I'd panic. But I'm hoping someone will stand up from those areas and be willing to grab a sign, and then people that are part of that cluster or that grouping, and it could be, again, a cluster or department, would follow that person maybe to a table. And maybe I could even direct. I might just say, this one go over here and over there. But if you could all follow that, and then you can sit around as a department or a group and start to have that conversation for about 20 minutes. And then we'll reconvene, and then we'll talk again about next steps. So I'm going to thank you guys in advance for volunteering.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Would you folks mind if I kind of wandered around from table to table to listen to what dialogue you're having, what discussion, what things you're talking about? Kind of like an eavesdropper, but I, thought I should ask your permission first. Is that okay with you? Okay, great.
All right, the first brave soul, I need someone from the medical assistant and practical nursing department, one person from that group to come up and be willing to grab your sign and be the facilitator. Bueller?
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Oh. Okay. So why don't we take medical assistant and practical nursing right over here? Next is the design cluster, graphic arts, photo, and videography. Leon, okay. Go over there by Leon. Next is law enforcement. Law enforcement. Okay, I'm going to hold there. If you are watching over TV, over YouTube. Next is healthcare administrative specialist and administrative assistant. Come on down. Computer technology and app. And app development. Computer technology and app development. Thank you, Sam. All right, we got horticulture, landscape design, floriculture, agriculture, farm business management, and viticulture. Thank you, Terry. Occupational skills and child development.
Takers? Yes.
Dental assisting. Come on down. Thank you, Julie. Associate degree nursing. Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you, Darcy. There you go. Manufacturing, machine tool, robotics, and welding.
Right.
Betty? Transportation, auto, heavy equipment, diesel, marine, and small engine. Thank you, Paul. College and career studies, reading, physical education, and health. English. Math. All right. Like to see that excitement. Physical and life sciences, earth science, physics, chemistry, and biology. Arts and humanities, speech, music, philosophy, ASL, Spanish and Ojibwe, art, global studies, and theater. Thank you, Catherine. Social sciences, psychology, sociology, history, political science, geography, women's studies, anthropology, and economics. Thank you, Mr. Hops. Business, accounting, and business management. Is there anybody that I did not call? Law enforcement? All right. So I'm going to give you until about 2:35. 2:35. And visit amongst yourselves, and then we're going to kind of ask for what did you talk about, and we'll debrief. So 2:35.
You don't have to go to the Twin Cities to find top-notch entertainment. Right here in Brainerd, you have access to numerous talents from across the country in an intimate venue. Central Lakes College, Cultural Arts presents.
What is this place? Hey! Welcome to the CLC bookstore! We have clothing, snacks, school supplies, and so much more! How can I pay for this? You can charge it to your Hire One card, which we here at the bookstore can also help you manage. Can I buy textbooks for my classes here too? We even sell books! And we can even buy back your books. We also sell discounted movie tickets. Let's go.
So, you're registering for a mathematics class, but you don't know which class to take. Central Lakes College offers a variety of math courses that are key to graduating. But how do you know which one's right for you? If you're a student who is studying in the social science or nursing fields, taking an Intro to Stats class will complement your already required curriculum. If a student is enrolled in a liberal arts program, a pathway to concepts in math will make transferring to a four-year institution as easy as pie. However, if a student is enrolled in the science and math and many other fields, Central Lakes College offers a more in-depth series of classes, following the college algebra pathway. After completing college algebra, students are able to pursue a pre-calculus through Calculus 2 before branching off to either multivariable calculus, linear algebra, differential equations, or all of the above. If math does not really add up for you, Central Lakes College offers developmental math courses as well. Depending on your placement test scores, you may be advised to enroll in math pathways or intermediate algebra to become prepared for the college level courses. If you are still unsure of what mathematics class at CLC is right for you, do not be afraid to consult a student advisor or a math instructor.
Hey everybody, welcome to a special holiday episode of CLC TV. I'm your host, River Stumpf. In this episode, we'll give you an overview of everything you can do for fun over the winter season, right here in the Brainerd Lakes area. First up, we have some cool winter activities you can do. For example, Mount Ski Gull, where you can have loads of fun snowboarding, tubing, and skiing.
So what is Ski Gull? It's a great little hill in central Minnesota. We have one of the state's largest tubing hills. Got skiing, got the ski leagues. We have an incredible terrain park with a high-speed lift out. We have hot deals all the time, but for college kids specifically, if you come, you can get 15% off by showing your ID. It's a great place to come. You should come check it out.
If skiing down snowy hills isn't your thing, come to the Brainerd Lakes Curling Club at the County Fairgrounds. It'll be fun, relaxing, and exciting to try.
We certainly extend our invitation to students to come check us out. It's really a fun social activity. We have large screen TVs and beverages. We do have a club license here so that we can provide adult beverages or regular sodas and waters and snacks. Saturday, we've been opening up our 6 to 9 curling time frame for students to come and hang out and get a chance to learn to curl.
If the cold outdoors is not your thing, we've got indoor stuff for you as well, such as the Mills Fleet Farm shooting range.
The Mills Fleet Farm indoor gun and archery ranges in Baxter offer anyone the opportunity to enjoy some quality time experiencing the world of sports shooting. The gun range has targets that can be adjusted up to 50 yards away to practice their marksmanship in a safe environment with proper protection. You can bring your own firearm or rent one of theirs from a wide selection. They also offer a class for anyone who is interested in learning the basics of gun safety. An archery range is another feature that Mills offers at this facility. They also have leagues available for anyone who would like to compete in them, so get some friends together and sign up.
But if shooting at the gun range doesn't appeal to you, then you can head on over to Jack's house, where you can eat food and compete against friends bowling.
We like to think we have an entertainment center for the whole family. We have bowling as well as a full menu restaurant and a bar. We also have an arcade for the kids and have an indoor golf simulator also. Well, we like to think that it's still a fairly cheap entertainment It's great, college students today, a lot of them have kids, so it's something that's great for the whole family. You can bring your wife, your girlfriend, your kids into this. It's entertainment for the whole family and involves everything, your food, your entertainment, everything all in one place.
Even here on campus, you can always find fun and interesting things to get involved in, like the Why Trees Matter exhibit, which is held on the Brainerd campus. Now, here's Riley Nelson with the story.
We've got an obligation and a responsibility at Central Lakes College to ensure that our employees and our students know a little bit more about Indian people.
One of the great opportunities at CLC is the chance to see and experience other cultures while attending class. Recently, the Ojibwe Nations and CLC hosted the Why Treaties Matter event, which featured a powwow and an American Indian exhibit.
People, Indian tribes, we're still here. And history still matters today. And how do Central Lakes College students walk away from this campus and be better informed citizens and neighbors and employees understanding American Indian people better, tribal law a little bit more, and again, how sovereignty and how treaties really play out in everyday life?
Riley for CLC TV, back to you, River.
Lastly, as an example of activities that students can take part in, was the cardboard boat race as part of the Central Lakes College Club Olympics, which was a wet and wild event. Students competed for their clubs in multiple challenges to win prizes, such as a pizza party and, yes, brace yourselves, $1,000. Cool, huh? See, there are plenty of things to do for fun here on campus and around the Brainerd Lakes area. Before we head out, we just want to give a big shout out to our first-year videography students who helped us out by filming footage for our show. Much thanks, guys. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching this special episode of CLC TV. We hope everyone has a great winter break, and we'll see you next year.
Express yourself. Express yourself.
At Central Lakes College, faculty assess student learning at the department level. This allows you to own the process and to use methods you believe in and would use anyway. The key end result of any assessment method is to figure something out about what students are learning or aren't learning. We gather data by using a few good tools that we as faculty have created. So these 3 faculty members describe one method they use to assess student learning that you could adapt for your programs or courses.
Hi, I am Christina Enert, an instructor in the accounting department at Central Lakes College. And today I'd like to share with you a grading rubric that our department uses for student learning assessment. We use a common rubric between all faculty members to help us gather data for our student learning assessment. Let me show you how it works. Our program learning outcome is to measure and prepare financial and non-financial information used to support strategic management and internal decision making. We have tied this program learning outcome to our cost accounting course. During cost accounting, a project that we have assigned during the standard costing and variance analysis unit is graded using this common grading rubric. So no matter who is teaching the course or what variance analysis project they use, this rubric is used to assess outcomes for that project. And what I like best is that the same grading rubric is used by all faculty members regardless of which project the students complete.
Hello, my name is Scott Foster. I'm an instructor in the sociology department at Central Lakes College. I'm trying to figure out how well students grasp 3 of the 4 department learning outcomes. And the beauty of this is that I'm able to use a rubric that wasn't specifically created for reporting department learning outcomes. It's one that I have been using for years. So let me show you what that looks like here. All right, here is the rubric that I use in my Introduction to Sociology class. As you can see in this left-hand column here, I've got 8 of the course objectives or course outcomes listed. The 3 shaded rows here represent the 3 course outcomes that correspond with, as you can see here, 3 of the 4 department learning outcomes. I really like using this capstone project rubric because it allows me to assess 2 things at once. Not only can I collect data for my Introduction to Sociology course and the learning outcomes, but it also allows me to collect data at the department level without creating any new rubrics or tools. So I hope you found this information useful.
Hi, I'm Mark Ambrose, the videography instructor here at Central Lakes College. One of my early learning outcomes that I usually try to assess in the first year students in the first semester is apply industry protocols and safety practices in video production working environments. What that really means is that I'm trying to get the students comfortable and confident handling, setting up, taking down, and using professional level television equipment. Because it's kind of an abstract outcome, I needed to come up with an indirect way to assess it. And here's what I came up with. It's a really simple and easy way to do an indirect assessment. Here's what I'm using to assess this outcome. Right in D2L, in the assessments menu, is a great little tool called the survey tool. Now I made this survey called What's Your Comfort Level for this class that I give at the end of the semester after they've handled this equipment a lot. And if you go into it, you can see that I chose 5 questions. They're all kind of hypothetical questions like, quote, I feel more comfortable around video gear than I did when the semester started, or on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being very proficient and 1 being not at all proficient, rate your ability handling, setting up, and recording with a professional video camera. So what I have here is a complete assessment already compiled and living right in D2L, waiting for assessment day this spring. I'll be able to take those results that are living in D2L, and I will be able to go to my assessment planning form, and under that learning objective, apply industry protocols. I'll be able to put in my results, do some analysis of those results, and then come up with some strategies to improve that learning outcome. And I should be done with assessing that learning outcome. So what I like about using the survey is when I have an abstract outcome like this one, it gives me a great way to find out what I need to know. And it's all done within the tools we already have in D2L.
So if you like, please borrow ideas from these faculty in building your own tools for assessing student learning. Come with your data, observations, and questions to our annual Spring Assessment Day in 2016.
All right. I think we're going to kind of come back together here. And we have a few minutes here where I know we won't probably be able to get to everybody. But I'd love if there are some more brave souls that would be willing to share any sort of semblance of conversation that you had from your group. Again, the point of this is really to get the conversation started as a campus, and then the next steps are we're going to be following up with the enrollment work team and developing a program-by-program specific strategy here. So would anyone be willing to share? And we do have a student, Mitch, from videography with a mic. So if you could raise your hand and wait to talk until Mitch comes over so we can get this on the live stream, that would be terrific. So anyone would like to volunteer a synopsis or some interesting points from your conversations? Oh, Sue over there. Yep, Sue's got one.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so I was looking at the nice sheet here, and I had 4 actual things, and one of them was retention rating. And so I checked the out-of-the-box idea because I'm curious about your Shark Tank, where they can take a reading class at the same time as achieving classes.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have a prereq set for math or English to come into my program, because it's one of those things, if you do that, you could kill your program.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to follow that concept. Oh, I need to stand up. I'd love to follow that concept where they can get that basic reading, so when they're in my classes, they'll be successful in it, because healthcare reading is not easy reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking healthcare reading not as in biology, I'm talking about insurance policies, compliance, regulation, laws, and stuff like that. So
Nice.
I would love to see if we can't do that. Maybe that would help with my retention.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good out of the bouts. Some good academic, either it's an academic scheduling or advising change in terms of what we do for your program. That's awesome. Who else has something they've talked about? Oh, Mark?
Well, one thing we're looking at is there some way, and maybe looking at what Dave and Karen presented and Nick, better prepared students so that we can assure that they're going to be successful. And then the other thing is avoid scheduling conflicts. Labs, instructors, you can't be 2 places at once. You need time between things to clean things up. The other issue is that I see is sometimes if we offer essentially a sequence course, ANP1 and ANP2, well, there's not as many students in ANP2. We offer at these times. We just lost a bunch of students that cannot fit that into their schedule. Same thing with general biology 1 and general biology 2. Granted, we have a lower enrollment, but those students that were committed first semester now can't be because they cannot fit that into their schedule.
Yep. I think this is a classic example of why we need input from all of you. I think from looking at a big picture, no one would even know that, and from your experience there, that might be from a scheduling side something that would really help. Yep, over there.
Hi, this is Sally speaking. Machine trades, robotics. First thing we'd like to say is on the website, we really like the social media that the school is doing, but on the website, especially on the mobile app, there's an option that just keeps floating where you can actually call the school. I think we need to expand that option and make it into a ask a question.
Oh.
So let's, for example, a chat option. So can someone from robotics give me a call? Something like that. So we need to expand that. And unfortunately, our children are losing the gift of communication. So when you click on to call, versus they can do an LOL, and everybody knows what that means. So expanding that option was the first thing we thought of. And the other thing is also having to do with our website is we need to have a streamlined way of updating it. For instance, name changes, machine tools being changed. So it's not being moved fast enough, and people are getting lost in the shuffle.
Sure. So sometimes some internal processes or technology tools that we can use to be more applicable to students. That's great. I think we were over here, right behind. What's that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Nope. Go, Tracy.
Okay, so I'm Tracy, and we also talked about the reading support and the schedule conflicting for liberal arts especially. But we had some ideas with regards to advising, because we have so many students who come in and they know they're going to get their generals, but specifically saying that, but then at the end of the first semester, taking a look at that planning form and doing an initial planning, but somehow submitting it to the college. I mean, they can always switch. And then at the end of the first year, I want to say Phil, is that right? No. Herb. No, I'm thinking the last name.
Okay, so the idea is to give the student visual feedback on where they are, in terms of progressing toward their goal. So if they're shooting for a normal AA, let's say they punch in they have maybe a page that they would access, and it's just called Where Am I Now? And so then they just plug in the courses they've taken, and it would show something like a visual barometer of where they were in terms of approaching their goal, whatever that might be. And we could even break it down so that would actually give a visual readout of where they are in area 1 or transfer area 1, transfer area 2, and so on. And they could, just at one spot, they can see exactly where they are in their program and how close they are to completing it.
Okay.
And that way they would be able to kind of process it more efficiently instead of abstractly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kind of a souped-up degree audit report type of thing. Nice.
Yeah, visual, straight out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good. I think there was a comment or over there. Sam, over there. Sam, right over there. Mr. Spagna.
So in my group is the computer technology and application development. So historically in high schools, and not just high school, but even college, but we seem to be trimming down budgets. And one of those budgets that was trimmed down in high school, apparently kids are born with a phone, and the assumption is that therefore they know about computers, which is not the case. So what happened is by trimming down the IT in the high school, because they were trying to save for Office, Microsoft Office, for example, because it's very expensive. Then students, when they come here, they don't even know what Microsoft Word is. I know that sounds surprising, but that's the way it is. So fortunately, things have changed. By being a CLC student, by being main SKU students, they get free Microsoft Office now just by having a Stat ID. So what has happened is the PSEO students, the CIS students, now they have the ability to access the software that they didn't have, and now they can get it for free through CLC. So what we need to do is build that relationship with our high schools and other educational institutions where they need to know that they can get that software for free now. And therefore the students can sign up and learn the courses that they need for other classes, including composition one, where they're going to need Word and other software.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, working with our feeder schools and leveraging some of the things we already give students to our advantage.
For free.
Yeah, for free. Nice. Good, thank you. Yeah, over there. Sean. He's coming.
Sean Truman, Earth Science. At the end of fall semester, I took my astronomy students to the planetarium at Forest Street Middle School, and we thought about doing that more often in future semesters and advertising that as something like a bonus part of the astronomy course, going over to the planetarium there at that school. So that might attract students who might otherwise not take astronomy, something extra, like an extra part of the course, going over there maybe twice a month. And so that could be an attraction for the astronomy course, going outside of, doing something, going somewhere besides here.
Absolutely. It's a good example of how great of a, I think, like I said, we have a great product that sometimes I think we're the world's best kept secret here of the things we're doing. So yeah, it's a good idea. Others, yeah. Matt.
Matt, Fort English, and we were talking about for retention, especially in our writing courses, as a department agreeing that our students have to go to the tutoring center at least twice a semester, and sort of have be signed off that they've met with the tutor and gone over their work. And maybe even doing as instructors doing presentations in the tutoring center, and the student would have to attend one of those in addition to the 2 required meetings. And then as well, developing a way to use maybe our office hours to go down and work in the tutoring center. So helping out with either training, helping to train if that's feasible, or just meeting with students during that time.
That's awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Tracy's pointing at someone. Oh, Ann. I thought she was volunteering, Ann.
Hi, Ann Nelson Fisher, math. We talked about having math faculty attend registration sessions this spring and summer to make sure that students are aware of the various pathways to transfer credit achievement in the department. We talked about advertising those pathways more in our classrooms and on our D2L sites, using social media, and becoming involved in the MAP project to give more input into developmental math needs of students, since we feel that those with lower reading scores many times will have lower math scores as well. And we talked also about having more embedded peer tutors in some courses, which is beginning this semester with our lowest level courses.
Those are good ideas. Yeah, that's awesome. Others? Anyone else want to volunteer someone else? Okay. Well, I really appreciate this conversation. I think it's productive, and like I said, I really want this just to be the beginning. As kind of a next step, the enrollment work team has scheduled weekly meetings throughout the rest of the semester, and our plan is to follow up with every division or cluster or department, depending on how you are, and to continue that conversation, as I said. And we're going to use that template that we gave you as a guidepost for coming up with a plan as a college for each individual area. And I think this is a great example, again, of how the information that you have and your reaction and your experience in your classes and with your students and with strategies is really vital to our success here. So I'm honestly really blown away by some of the insight that I would have never thought through on this. So I really want to thank you guys, and want to say we're going to look forward to the conversation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to have President Lundblad come up, and he's going to share some ending remarks here. And if you could, if you are someone that kind of wrote for your department or cluster, if you could just hand me your division cluster sheet and then your sign after President Lundblad is done speaking, and that'll allow us to follow up with you and kind of have that next step. So again, thank you so much for your support.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Good session. I need to start out with an apology. Yesterday in my opening remarks, I ruffled some feathers. Bill favors feathers in particular. When I talked about the grant that they received, it's the Ruffed Grouse Grant. So my apologies to Bill and to the Ruffed Grouse Society. Ruffled grouse is what Swedes eat with lutefisk. So I wanted to have Paul come up for just a minute and talk a little bit, kind of in the along the vein of what the conversation has been this afternoon. Talk a little bit, just in a couple of minutes here, about some things that are happening with our local high schools in terms of pathways and some innovation, and really ties in with the conversation. Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Larry. It's been particular, I think, as we saw some of that data, and one area where we've seen a decline in enrollment and students coming here is from Brainerd High School. So it's been particularly satisfying to kind of have 3 new initiatives or programs and courses with Brainerd High School to talk about this afternoon. The first one is with Sam Espana and the computer tech courses. Brainerd has had some challenges, as Sam mentioned, in terms of both the equipment, but also in terms of instructors being able to offer the kinds of computer tech courses that would allow kids to come to CLC prepared for the kind of computer tech courses that we have here. And so in working very closely with Sam and Andrea Russ, the Brainerd High School principal, and also Dave Heidela, we've been able to create Sam's going to go over there. I don't know what you call it, but he's going to go over there and teach for 2 days a week courses that we're offering here, and then come over here for 3 days a week and teach face-to-face with our CLC students. In the meantime, the Brainerd High School students are able to access the lectures and the classes online. So these are PSEO courses that will kind of create a pathway and start the pathway at Brainerd High School for these kids, and then they can complete the pathway here in our computer tech program at Central Lakes College. So it's been great. Been working with Sam from day one on that one, and also the principal at Brainerd, and also Dave. So that's been real satisfying. It'll be really exciting to see how that materializes. The other area is one of our Bridges Academies over at Brainerd High School, our welding academy specifically. Our welding instructors here, Paul and Dave, had felt like the students weren't really entering our welding programs with the kind of skills and experience that they need to be successful here. So it was working, again, closely with Paul and Dave, and also Andrea and the welding instructor over there. So now those kids, we've set up in their course description so that they're going to have 16 out-of-class hours where they're going to come over here. They're on weekends or on weeknights, work with Paul and Dave closely with our facilities here so that they can kind of bolster the skills they're getting, but of course also get great experience with Paul and Dave and our equipment that we offer at Central Lakes. So again, allowing them to complete that pathway once they enroll at Central Lakes College. And then finally, with the videography program over there, working closely with Mark Ambrose, he rightly recognized that the videography program over at Brainerd High School was kind of having some challenges, going through some challenges, and so he had reached out to Andrea over there. Andrea reached out to me, and then kind of the 3 of us have been working together so that Mark is going to go over to Brainerd High School, teach a videography section, kind of keep that program going, because once a program like that goes away at a high school, it takes a long time to turn that ship around and bring that program back. Andrea is very interested in keeping that program growing, but she needed to kind of keep it going in the meantime so they can get the kind of instructor expertise they need over there. So to Mark's credit, he recognized that, worked with him and Andrea, and so now they are able to offer videography over there. And then hopefully, again, those kids will be able to come over here, work with Mark, work on our equipment, and see the kind of great resources that we have at Central Lakes College. So I certainly want to encourage any of you, if you hear about those things or you want to explore some innovative ways to keep programs going, create pathways so they complete here, please let me know. That's exciting and really fulfilling work. So just wanted to update you on those, and feel free to reach out to me anytime that you become aware of those opportunities as they arise. Okay. Thank you, Larry.
And along those same lines, we've had some conversations also with Aiken High School and Pequot Lakes with similar ideas about how we can connect and create those pathways with some of their needs and programs as well. It's just been really exciting to sit here, especially today, and listen to all the great things that are going on. I had no idea about the technology and some of the things that are happening here. I mean, I was kind of aware of it, but not the specifics. So it was great to great to see. We talked at the beginning of fall semester about redesigning the American Community College, and it was just heartwarming for me to hear a number of folks here that have been taking a look at the book, taking a look at the concepts, and thinking about how we can move things forward. And faculty, staff coming together can make that happen, and that's where it has to be. A couple years ago, we talked about our values for the college really driving what we're doing. And our values are innovation, learning, diversity, access, service, excellence, integrity, and community. And I think what we've heard and what we've observed and what we've been a part of the last 2 days really says to me that we really are moving these values or being values driven, and that we're seeing it in our work. So thank you so much. Great conversations today. What we've been talking about here is going to move forward, and you'll see some changes in marketing and our outreach and strengthening those pathways which are so vital to us to make sure that we're encouraging students to come here and be successful and move into work or continue their education. So thank you so much for the great work. It's just been really heartwarming to see all of this the last couple of days. So thank you.
Well, if you're taking a look at your agenda for the day, we are pretty close to being on time. Want to take a break, but we reconvene as divisions, and I know the deans may have some room announcements to make about that, so maybe I'll invite the deans up to the microphone to provide information on that. Martha, if you want to follow, and I'm thinking of Becca and Mary and Keith, among others. So just in terms of where you need to go or where you need to be.
CTE will be up in C205.
Liberal arts will be staying right here, so take a break. I'll see you in 15 minutes.
And is Keith here? W120, thank you, Terry. Mary? Okay, Mary's saying stay close. All right. And Tara, your group? Okay, up to the west end. All right. I think that defines where we're going. Thanks, everybody, for a great day, and have a great semester.
Nick, do you want us to just...
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.